Hello everyone and welcome to VALORANT Game Changers 2024 Southeast Asia Stage 2. We're on to day 3 of the playoffs, the most important playoffs of the year, I believe, just yet. I'm your host, Jen Lee, and joining me on the desk today will be Quack. Now, Quack, what's it been like?
What's it been like?
Since I last saw you, it seems like forever. It feels like
it's been a while. I know, but here we are back meeting each other online, and you're just dropping a huge bomb. You know, saying that this is going to be such a big day, and it is. Now it's making me nervous because we're going to find out, you know, who are the first two teams to make it through to Game Changers Pacific.
I'm making you nervous on purpose, so you keep focused.
She keeps doing this.
But,
I just.
But yeah, how have you been, Quack?
I've been pretty much fine. You know, Pacific ending was kind of a bit bittersweet. It was always awesome and fun. And then we also have more exciting news because the Champions music video just dropped. We were watching that a little bit. But then now back into today, now we've got big matches coming up. And also I'm just glad that we don't have to do guess and gain anymore. So that's always good for me, I guess.
No. We're going to have more guess and gain made by me. But yeah, more Valorant for us. Woohoo! With Game Changers. Today it's great to be back. Definitely stage 1. It was such a blast. Now we got 8 teams in the mix with a little bit of roster shuffle here and there. Some teams with different players coming together from different teams. Some of the players, it's definitely a new big stage for them to perform in. But things are getting more and more competitive as we move on to stage 2. But seeing you here makes me miss Victoria, so here's a video format of her voice explaining the format of playoffs.
This is the VALORANT Game Changers SEA 2024. There will be 2 stages this year, Stage 1 and Stage 2. There will be an open in each stage and a group stage in Stage 2. The top 4 winners of Stage 1 will be seeded into Stage 2's group stage. The opens for Stage 1 will be held from the 26th to the 29th of March, and the playoffs will be from April 1st to the 5th. The opens for Stage 2 will be held in early July, followed by the group stage and playoffs. In Stage 1 Open, the top 8 teams will proceed to playoffs, and the top 4 teams will be seeded into the group stage of Stage 2. Stage 1 has a total prize pool of $10,000. In Stage 2 Open, the top 12 teams and the top 4 from Stage 1 playoffs will be seeded into group stage. The group stage consists of 4 teams of 4, and the top 2 teams of each group will proceed to playoffs. Stage 2 has a $10,000 prize pool. Visit gamechangers.fsl.gg for more information for Valorant Game Changers SEA 2024.
Always lovely to hear Victoria's voice, but let's talk about the format itself. Now we're down to top 8 teams here in Stage 2 playoffs. We started in March and it's July already when things are coming into fruition, and everything is at stake here for these 8 teams, Quack, because top 3 from this playoffs will go on and represent Southeast Asia in Game Changers Pacific, which is in Bangkok, right?
Yeah, that's right, Jen. Oh my goodness. Coming to think of it, that basically means we're down to the last 2 squares at the bottom of the screen right now. The playoffs and then the top 3, of course. So eliminating 5 teams is never ever something that we want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately it has to be done. But that's why also Game Changers Pacific is that much more exciting, because you get to see all the different teams, possibly some of these teams from the top 8 playing against other top teams from the other sub-regions within Pacific. We've got South Asia, and I think for the first time ever, Oceania, which is always something that I wanted to see for a long time. But then also of course, where you're from, Korea and then Japan. That's going to be so much competition for Game Changers Pacific later this year.
So 3 of these teams that you guys are seeing on the screen right now will be performing in Pacific. XIPTO and Boba, my money's on them. I'm just wondering who the last 3rd team will be. Any good ideas?
We're always wondering about it, right? Because it could be Invincible, maybe, because they are that new kind of super Thai squad ever since Money first kind of shuffled around, let's say. And we also have all these other teams like Avernus. We got Indonesian representation, Filipino representation, and everyone wants to kind of support and represent their country. And of course, a bit of the prize pool as well.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of money first, we need to talk about the money first. Something for everyone to grab over here. But, I'm pretty sure what's more important to the teams will be that spot in Pacific. But, it's always nice to have a share.
Yeah.
Extra money in the bank.
A little bit of money is always good, helps you keep
It's always
this
a
going.
reward for grinding so hard,
Precisely. And you need it to get a bit of a paycheck and keep playing pretty much. But apart from that, actually, like you mentioned, right, the fact that it's top 3 spots, the thing that's really cool, I think, for all of these players here, especially maybe a team like Lilacs, maybe, is the fact that they want to make it all the way through to play in front of the home crowd, and at the same time play in front of a live crowd. They get to play against all the other top teams, but also play, I think for the first time that we have within this Pacific region, a live tournament for Game Changers.
And you mentioned in front of the home crowd. Remember when we had Masters Tokyo without a Japanese team? It was heartbreaking for those Japanese teams to not make it. So extra motivation for Lilacs, of course. And correct me if I'm wrong, but XIPTO only need 1 more win to practically qualify for Pacific, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the day today. Interesting to see that we have a dominant force and also the underdogs coming in fighting for that one last spot or 2 spots. But yeah,
Yeah, we'll get
We're
to
definitely starting to see who's going to make it.
for sure. Yes, we'll get to look at this more when we look at the brackets later on, so we get to see, you know, clearly what it looks like to have whichever team qualify for that top spot. But for now, you know, it's also just thinking about everything, every bit of action that has happened, you know, in the past 2 days, because it's quite a bit. We're getting to watch, you know, the same familiar names like Sisu, for example, but also some new ones like 4F for fun, who are, I guess, kind of trying this out for fun, and they actually made it through the playoffs, which is always awesome. A lot of them have had the experiences all throughout Game Changers ever since it began, but some of them, this is their first time like making it through to playoffs, right? And then for a team like Sisu, they want to actually make it all the way through. They've always been in the action, in the thick of it, but they may be sometimes not consistently making it through the playoffs, or maybe sometimes not able to make a deep enough run. So you get to see how much they've grown truly all throughout.
And even just looking at yesterday's game, it looks like, you know, the whole team for Sisu, everyone's feeling comfortable with their teamwork, playing as a unit. I mean, the stats that they were putting up, it was just crazy.
For sure. I mean, they're starting to show that they are more capable. You can see that they're actually trying out new things, like playing according to the new patch that we have, the agent changes. Sawamura playing onto the Neon now, which is always fun to watch. And also, I guess Avernus has a couple of sheriff shots going in.
But yeah, it was just you know, like a lot of awes watching them play, especially like Sawamura, you mentioned on that Neon too. So in the 2 maps that they played, it was like plus 20 the stats for her. And Graham's always, you know, my idol.
Yeah, we always have like
everyone feeling comfortable too. Yeah,
a couple of players that we want to keep our eyes on. But I think you and I can agree on this, right? For sure, one of the teams to look out for is always going to be Bova, just because of how strong and how dominant they are. I mean, they actually had 13-5 and 13-3 up against Avernus Esports just yesterday.
Yeah, so that's how the upper quarterfinals yesterday went down. We saw the highlight of what happened yesterday. Quick 2-0 matches, of course, but let's take a look at the bracket because today we have 4 teams going up against each other. Now, what are we in for, Quack?
Yeah, that's basically one of the... This is why I'm nervous for today. This is why I can't get my words together. It's because this is the upper semifinals now. And whichever team makes it through to the upper finals, whether it's XIPTO or Invincible or Sisu or Boba, those will be the top 2 teams, and basically they'll already be qualified for Game Changers Pacific. And that's what we are all, you know, looking forward to finding out today.
I mean, for those 4 teams, they just need to win this one to make it to Pacific practically. So everyone will be putting their best performance for today's game. Now, here are the schedules for today. We have XIPTO versus Invincible GC, Sisu versus Boba. Now, let's talk about the first game, because XIPTO, they've always been, you know, the former SMG roster. They were the Mount Everest for every team to climb. And it looks like Invincible are going to have a little bit of a tough time trying to get a win out of this match.
Tough time. Tough time is like an understatement, Jen. Tough time is like, you got Mount Everest is right at the top, and then tough time is like right at the bottom.
Well, climbing Mount Everest is a tough time. It's a difficult time, but yeah.
It really is. It's so it's so hard to really face off against a team like XIPTO, because you're basically playing against, I don't know, I guess like Gen G right now, right?
They're the Gen G of SEA.
I know. They need no introduction, basically, because they've made it through last year when they were Team SMG, and also qualifying for that, you know, championship game in Berlin. But then also this year when they played in Stage 1 under this new name, XIPTO Esports, with a, you know, a tiny roster shuffle here and there, they have just dominated every single game. They haven't dropped
a single map.
A single map, a single game, nothing whatsoever. And every bit of their scoreline is just so like one-sided,
right?
So
I
dominant.
think the most rounds that they gave away was like 4.
Oh my god,
maximum.
is it just 4?
Yeah. And usually like when you watch their game, it's like 13-1. So like I bet when we come back for halftime analyst desk, it's going to be like 11-1 or something.
Yeah, and then we're supposed to like break it down, but then like you know, it's just
there's like nothing to break down.
I don't know. XIPTO did well. Sometimes that's what it is.
Okay, so speaking of the dominant force, let's talk about each and every one of these players from XIPTO. Ineri had a great day yesterday, Tara as well, Alexi always fragging. You know, there's not a weak link on this team, and that's what makes them so invincible.
Not at all, exactly. Every single one of them are always capable of fragging out, but they also perform their job to perfection. I think that's the biggest thing for this team, is the fact that it's been kind of consistent and drilled into them that they just do what they do. And at the same time, you know, a couple of these players, I say a couple, but there's really a lot of them, are just that mechanically gifted. And that's truly the main reason why they're able to perform that well.
Now, let's talk about Invincible because, you know, I think everyone's like, oh, XIPTO's going to win. And Invincible, as we said, is going to have a tough time because they have a big task of going up against XIPTO. But a lot of us on the desk would agree when I say, you know, it's going to be a true test for Invincible to see how they measure up in Southeast Asia in this top 8 and see if they can make it all the way to Pacific.
Yeah, I think it means a little bit more for Invincible because they are that full Thai squad. And if we take a look at, you know, the brackets, actually, XIPTO beat Lilacs, which was a full Thai squad also. So there's a bit of that, like, you know, I want to avenge my Thai, like, friends right now. But at the same time, the main thing about this squad is they've been around the block. They have been in so many different like Thai teams. There have been roster shuffles around, but some of them are the most experienced one in all of Thailand for Game Changers because they've been a part of teams like Neons, which was a team that made a pretty deep run in for playoffs and last chance qualifiers last year. And also Money First, they've got a bit of experience there, which is, you know, it's the squad that was led by Ginny, who's like a very big, very famous Thai Game Changers player. So they have a lot of experience, but the question is that going to be enough for them to challenge XIPTO?
Especially when with XIPTO, one more win and then they're in Pacific. They're going to be extra motivated to just get it out of the way. But let's take a look at the players to watch. It will be Tara and Izzy.
That's right, these two names. Tara, I don't think she really needs much of an introduction. She's been around since like forever because she's been in before like Team SMG was even a thing. Like that was the first top team in all of Game Changers, which was, well, Alter Ego Celeste, but ever now we're changing jerseys all around the place. But she's always been that, you know, confident and that strong and that stable for her team. She's often the sort of IGL, playing the sentinel role, or you know, maybe sometimes flexing to a controller, but she's always able to frag out and make the calls for her team. She's always steady and she doesn't like ever freak out too much. But, you know, she has kind of retired a little bit and then came back to the game. So there might be a bit of rust like starting to shake off, but otherwise she's actually fitting into the team like a glove. The more interesting one that we have to focus on is actually Izzy, because Izzy is actually one of the newer players for Invincible. That's the interesting part, because I was talking about how everyone's like a veteran. Izzy recently joined in and she isn't quite as familiar with everyone else, but she's still able to play down that sentinel role.
So there's a contrast in terms of the experience these two players have. Let's talk about Alexi, because, you know, she frags.
Yeah, she frags for sure, Jen.
That was my inner Sasha, sorry. She frags.
A little bit sassy.
She knows how to shoot.
I mean, yeah, right? Because, like, we don't really need to say all that much. I think the numbers on the screen tell you basically everything. How often do you get to see a player with an average of like 310 ACS?
Yeah.
Or even like 2.8 KDA, Jen?
And the thing is, she doesn't really need like all the support from her teammates to create that space and get those stats. She can do it by herself.
She
Not
really
a lot of
is that good.
investment required.
it's that crazy because she's like, you know, always playing alongside her team, and she just provides that much firepower. Yesterday alone in her match against Lee Lax, she had 11 first kills, only 3 deaths. 11 first kills. That's like,
yeah, it's hard to
DFMD.
lose when your duelists do that, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the next person that we have, I guess, to match up against that Jen has to be Angela Luffy. And well, no wait, Angela Luffy. I get confused with the Angela bit. But yeah, I mean, to make it easier, we'll just say that she's, you know, Angela. But she is that duelist player for Invincible GC, and she sometimes flexes between the Raze and the Jet depending on the map. But she's also someone who's capable of getting those first kills and performing that well. The only thing is she needs to, you know, be able to sustain herself that much more if she is to play against a squad like XIPTO Esports. If she just dives in and dies right away, you know, then that's not really what you want to have.
I mean, it's kind of intimidating when the duelist on the other side is like dropping 11 first kills, and you know, it's up to you to get that many kills and kind of, you know, be that duelist that the team needs going up against team like XIPTO. It's going to be very stressful for Angela, but hopefully she stays consistent and maybe she can have a pop-off matchup. Hopefully we get a tight duelist battle between them. But it's hard to see XIPTO losing because, you know, like when it comes to map vetoes, it doesn't really matter for them.
Oh my gosh, it doesn't. It really just feels like this is gonna be like that painful of a match because of how strong XIPTO really are, and I think this is why.
100%, 100%. This is exactly what my mom wanted on my report card. Yeah. No, that too. But yeah, this is what like you would like to see when you're a team. It's just there's no weak map. Every map is very strong. So when it comes to the opponents, you know, going for the map veto, it's really hard to strategize because they're strong on all maps.
It's definitely a mammoth task. Because they haven't dropped a single map. That's just the facts of it right now. Surely they are challenged on, you know, some maps a little bit more, but you know.
But they still win. Yeah, so when it comes to Invincible GC, we did not see a lot of maps from them. It's only Lotus, Ascent, and Sunset. And they actually dropped Lotus against Cardboard Dinosaur. I just keep saying carbonated dinosaurs. I don't know.
Carbonated versus cardboard. I think the cardboard one's a little bit cuter. Cardboard Dinosaur might just burp around a lot. But yeah, they definitely took a bit of a loss yesterday. It did, however, go to overtime. They only lost 12 to 14. So there is a little bit of a challenge there. But if anything, I think they're still relatively comfortable on that map because taking a look at some of the matches they had throughout like the open qualifier and the group stages and whatnot, that Lotus is still a map that they play on quite often and to varying successes. It's usually like 13-7, 13-10 maybe. So I still expect them to do pretty well.
Yeah, and especially because they dropped it against CBD. Then they go, okay, what are we lacking on this map? And they might be coming in stronger this time. Icebox band, split band. First map, we are heading to Bind. Okay.
Wow. Well, I mean, if XIPTO gets to pick it, then you know.
Okay. Lotus, I'm actually surprised. Am I surprised? No, it's gonna be a really good match on Lotus.
I think so.
See if Invincible kind of, you know, tweak their Lotus a little bit. Decider map's going to be Ascent. But do we really see today going all the way to Ascent? Guessing game?
If it does go to Ascent, I mean, oh my god, why we gotta bring up guessing game? I'm like forever wood rank, so whatever I say just doesn't bear any... it's not credible anymore. But no, I feel like if we do go to Ascent, it's because Invincible wanted their own map pick of Lotus. That is what it all comes down to. All of these are basically it's just comfort picks for both teams.
And let's talk about the agents as well. I feel like XIPTO just pulls out like the craziest comp whenever they want, just because they can.
They do definitely.
And it does not really matter which agent that they play. So it will be very difficult for Invincible to get a good read on them. And also they're kind of like, XIPTO's kind of like Paper X. It's like you see it coming and you have a good read on them, but it's like there's nothing you can do. So what are they going to do on Bind?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up. Bind is going to be an interesting one because it is one of XIPTO's, most comfortable maps, especially when they were Team SMG. Now they might have a newer roster, but I'm glad that you brought up the PaperX comparison because they do feel like a team that is just that formidable. They have that double duelist composition with Alexi alongside Inari, and sometimes when they are just that strong, Jen's already like, oh my
nightmare.
God, to play against them. The pacing that you have to match, it just feels like a PaperX game because they're constantly, relentlessly rushing against their opponents, and they're just that capable of making those rounds happen because they are that good, that sharp. Meanwhile, for a team like Invincible, it really comes down to how they play their maps. And looking at their statistics, Bind is not something that they're too bad on. They've won like 4 out of 5 times that they played it. However, it's playing against XIPTO, so you still need that extra step to really make sure that you have like a secure win.
And the thing is, it's like, I'm glad you mentioned pace, because when you're facing a team like XIPTO, then you can never be in control of the pace, and you can never be in control of what's going on in the game, so it will be kind of frustrating. And I'm pretty sure Invincible are aware, and we're gonna have to see how they deal with that. Do they slow them down? Do they stay back? Or they just fight fire with fire?
I think they're kind of gonna bank a lot of it onto Lotus. I feel like on a map like Bind, you kind of want to slow them down, especially if you get to start on the defensive side, because that's where there are a lot of tricky corners, and especially with the way that Invincible plays their Bind. They run the double controller, Clove alongside Omen. You might be able to, pinch your opponents, especially if you have like a kind of a specific timing or a lineup for the Clove Metal plus Paint Shells combo. That is something that could deny a lot of spike plants if they are playing on the defensive side. So needing to be able to read a lot of these tendencies and to have counter strats available just to take down XIPTO for a couple, not just a couple of rounds, they might be able to find that lead that way.
All right, now, I know you hate guessing game, but we have to guess. We handed in our predictions, and it's time to see them.
Yeah, let's
and this one, it's not that hard. Yeah,
actually,
all be radiant.
Yes, I feel a little bit more comfortable because we picked the same thing, right, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good.
But then, Quack, what do I know? I'm just a host. You're the analyst.
Not a very good one, I guess. I just yap a lot on the desk. But yeah, no, I mean, that's what it all comes down to. I feel like predictions-wise, looking at how the performances have gone so far, you just cannot not say XIPTO. If you are saying Invincible right now, which, by all means, I do have a lot of copium for them. Just having like a Thai team play in front of the Thai crowd, or even being the first Thai team to qualify for Game Changers Pacific is going to be a pretty big deal. But if I'm to kind of predict for them right now, seeing all the stats that we have from XIPTO, it's
going to be XIPTO.
It's like I'm trying to pull an Asrai Al-Gaib. But that's not going to happen.
Prediction god? Okay, yeah. But yeah, for me, it will be XIPTO 2-1. I mean 2-0.
2-0?
2-0 for you. Yeah?
Yeah, actually, that tracks.
XIPTO 2-0, yeah. I have never seen... Well, they won every single map. So it's hard to go like all the way to the third map. So I guess, yeah.
It does feel like it. It does feel like it.
But it will depend on which agents they play. And our agent select will be ready on the screen very soon. Okay, so as you mentioned,
no. Wait, what's going on?
No, but the deadlock and the cipher on Bind, it's something we see in the Korean challengers, and like, a lot of teams are running it, and it's actually quite very like complicated and sophisticated, but it works very well. But it has to be deadlock with the cipher.
It has to be accompanied by something, because deadlock alone, you kind of leave your flank open a little bit. But having deadlock, especially when you have a, I guess a duelist like Alexi, you might be able to entry sites, get the sites down a lot quicker, and as soon as Deadlock plants her post-plant utilities around the entrances to the site, it just makes it that much more difficult for your opponents to retake. So it's very crucial that Invincible GC gets as many attacking rounds in their first half right now with this double controller composition of theirs.
All right, so we have the Cypher Deadlock comp for XIPTO, and we also have the double controller comp for Invincible. Let's see how many rounds that Invincible can get, because that will be one of their win conditions. It's time to jump into Bind, and we have our casters on standby, so over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Jen and Quack. It's a pleasure to be back on Game Changers. My name is Golden. Joined with me here today, not other than Mr. Faiz himself, or aka Realize.
Wow. You're the second one who did that. Yeah, yesterday Pilsky did it as well. Realize. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here again for the third time and a streak. And this time with Kaldan, obviously we will be casting one of a banger of a game, especially XIPTO, one of the unbeatable, or rather the most the team that everyone wants to beat, and it seems like now faring against Invincible GC, I think this will be one hell of a match.
You could say XIPTO are kind of the real invincible ones in the tournament, going up against Invincible GC. We'll see who is the true immortal team.
Yeah,
sorry, it's a bit cringe.
I'm trying to dissect what that means, because it could lead into two: immortal as in unbeatable, or second immortal as in the rank. But I think it goes both ways for XIPTO. I'm pretty sure most of the players are Radiant, even far better than immortal, and the fact that they are indeed immortal, because they are unbeatable so far, only losing 13-4, and that is the highest scoreline that they have been beaten on. But look at the lineups now. The people mentioned, the Deadlock Cypher, almost a safe combine. We've seen it a lot in Korean challengers, even in Pacific, where Bleed was, bringing this as well. But it operates in a very funky way, because it's very hard for you to just navigate your way in attacker and defender. It's ultra scary to play against.
Yeah, well, for the time being, they avoid the Deadlock, and Invincible, they're gonna push into elbow, actually. A flash and a Trailblazer traded out, but they're still gonna push on the issue. Kit Kat with a nice shot. Angela shooting a jumping Caillou, but hey, Invincible, they find themselves a 5v3 advantage now in the post-plant. See what XIPTO can manage.
Indeed. Behind the smoke, they hide. As Invincible, they still are invincible. 5 players intact. As Kit Kat is low on HP, but Angela will take the contact. Alexi will punish her for that, beheading her and sending her back to death. Enery looking to make some plays, and she does get the 2 kills now. 2v2, Tara and Enery, the Indonesian duo against Ice and Rosie. Ice gets through the smoke tap, but Enery will try to press the digits and try to defuse this spike. No, Icy has something else to say. As Ice is ice cold, and Invincibles, they get their first pistol round of the series.
Yeah, and despite the Deadlock barrier mesh being there, it's a little bit different in Sage World. You can shoot right through it, so yeah, it didn't really stop them from spamming through the smoke in that position. And I think this fight here was super cool, very taken by Invincible, right? That's something you don't see too often, where the main fight's happening towards elbow, but still, credit to them. Fantastic pistol round to start things off.
Yeah, very good pistol round coming in from Invincible. It looked like they were penetrable, because Enery and Alexi was bringing a lot of kills, trading it back, but still Invincibles, they stand tall. They stand tall so far, but I think there will be quite a clash down in Garden. Looking to flash out from the Dizzy. Caillou next on the chopping block. So is Alexi, down in the hands of Ice. Ashirazi just looking to hide in the smoke, and with the minimum weapons, with only having to settle with classics, I don't think they can even add injury towards the players of Invincibles, as it looks like they will be able to claim a flawless gun round.
Beautiful flawless run right there. You don't lose any players whatsoever, so you gotta go into this bonus with all the weapons that you would like, just a couple of armor upgrades perhaps, and I mean, this is the best start that you could wish for if you're Invincible, going up against, you know, what is expected to be the best team in the entire Southeast Asia region. And again, it's a slow, typical push up towards B Long. They take control over the Octagon area, they move into the site, and it's a brilliant series of utilities that's being thrown in place. But here comes the real test, right? XIPTO up against the anti-bonus, or with their anti-bonus, the rifles in tow.
Yep. And they will just rush forward. Look at the barrier mesh. Is holding them in place. The Trailblazer as well. The main source of information, looking for intel up into showers. At least now Invincibles, they have control towards showers. But what can they do with this? What can they maximize from this control? Because now for XIPTO, they have the audacity to just stack 4 players in B side. Because I feel like Cypher can just solo hold B and bind. But this Thrash from Ice will be the death of XIPTO, it seems like.
Great stun coming in, but assisted by Alexi to protect her teammate, and that gives them a chance, a foothold in this retake, in this post plan. Dizzy will get the spike down though, but they want to take control over this. Oh, the metal off the target just a little bit, and she will pay with her life. And Neri picks up a kill towards the side itself. Camille here for the assistance, and it's all XIPTO in the feed. Barely any damage taken, only onto Alexi as they sweep up that third round with, you know, almost like flawless one at that. I mean, it is flawless. Just a little bit of damage.
Yeah. Alexia dripping with blood, but that's all fine. 10 HP, still alive. And the Thrash was there, but no follow-up. Rather, the follow-up wasn't really on point, because then that was a very, very good service coming in. The flash, look at the stun, rather, towards Angela. The fact that she had to deal with the stun doesn't... it means that she can't really follow up the kill, especially when the detained player had to move back towards back U-Haul. So it's all still good for Invincibles, or rather for XIPTO. And Invincibles now, they have to settle with another gun round.
And Neri has the Annihilation available. Her ultimate, Deep Smoke from the Clove, signifies that they really want to push this B-Long position, but XIPTO are going to be playing ahead of things.
Yeah, they will try to just Trailblazer again. This is going to be their main tool of information. The Scout and Trailblazers, but oh, Henry faces death, stares it right in her eyes, and gets taken down by Felsi. Meanwhile now, for XIPTO, this is going to be a huge loss, especially that delay power coming in from the sonic sensor from the barrier mesh. It will be coming down into play later on for Invincibles, and seems like they're still taking their time and might just shift their attention towards B again.
Yeah, and the Trailblazer will confirm that sees at least 2 players here. And so they're gonna leave most of the players of XIPTO here towards this B side. It's gonna be a tough one to get through. Invincible, here comes the barrage of entry utility. A nice Sky Smoke was just to, you know, buy them a little bit of time. We'll get up the corner, bait it in. Angela does not get a single kill. Camille will just pick up on Felsi as well. And the spike is lost in the middle of the site. Wingman just delivers it straight to XIPTO on a silver platter. And you know, behind this smoke, they have no other piece of map control. They're all stuck here towards long. It should be a clean shutout. Smoke on top of things. Shirazi just sprays them both down through the smoke. Oh, it might be curtains here. Rosie tries to sneak into her own duck cover to potentially grab the spike, but Camille's there to receive, and it's another beautiful round from XIPTO, despite them losing their opening first kill.
Yeah. Still a very good recovery coming in from XIPTO, especially having lost Henry in the first encounter here. She was way too brave on that peak without any utility whatsoever. But still, XIPTO, they hold on. And the fact that you still have the Queen, Alexi, you know, she has earned that moniker, you know, bestowed upon her, being the Queen of Game Changers. I feel like she is indeed one of the best players, and she will do light work of the players of Invincibles GC.
And B-Long is position of the map that Invincible really like to take, it seems. Always sending that Trailblazer up there, but now they're gonna put the barrier mesh there, and oh, I love how they do it. They put the main ball of the barrier mesh in that corner, so you're forced to creep up close if you want to break it. Flash comes through, and Angela, well, not gonna be the case. No success this time. 2 players playing anti, and we'll just immediately shut it down.
Yeah. That anti-flash, you need to play it pretty well and be long. But look at the stacks coming in from XIPTO. There's a lot of ways you can traverse around this composition with the Deadlock Cypher. You can either just 4-stack one side with Deadlock in it, or you can just leave the Cypher alone, or you can have the Deadlock Cypher play one side with all the utilities they have, and then you can have either the Raze with the Sky pushing up forward to win the first lane and get the information. But now, Invincible's GC, they will try to test their luck, tempting fate towards A side. Planning the spike by Ice, but
Wingman's down.
all failed. The Wingman's down. Ice gets the one tap though towards Terra. Shirazi will present herself with the headshot. The Annihilation doesn't catch anyone, doesn't reel anyone in, but Shirazi still firing in all cylinders as Alexia is there for the backup, and Neri will get Felsi. Rosie is only good for one. Will she be able to get at least one exit frags? Two players are low, but Alexi has something else to say. And XIPTO, they ease past Invisibles as they get their third round.
Yeah, beautiful anchoring job by Shirazi. And I'm noticing a little bit of a trend, right? You see the wingman always going in, but not actually getting the spike down. So, not enough utility from the side of Invincibles to help that wingman to get the spike down. And you find themselves in a really awkward situation most of the time, right? Spike in the hands of XIPTO, and they have to just peek out and try to fight and wrestle for, back for control.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they want to adapt to this.
Indeed, adaptation is very important, and I feel like for Invincible's GC, they have to work on this Kit Kat though. The leads Tara on the process, and no smokes, no delays for XIPTO, but there goes the showstopper with the grab net. It connects, but where's the shot? There goes the rocket and misses. And Enery gets Felsi, but Felsi's able to pop. They're not dead yet. Looking to dance away from death, but Enery will be the one picking up on Felsi. Still in a 4-on-4 situation.
Yeah, but look at the rotations, right? XIPTO has fully rotated everyone over towards this A site. There is Cypher trips towards B long, or at least hookah, as well as a camera for B long. So XIPTO should have information. Trip's gonna get broken. Yeah, here comes the rotate back from XIPTO, but I don't think they're gonna be able to reach it in time. Invincible should be able to control the entirety of the B site.
Especially with the traps already broken down. Wingman set it up for the plant, and this looks like a very strong hold coming in from Invincible's GC, but Rosie gets beheaded and decapitated by Enery with the 4th kill, decimating the players in Invincible's GC, looking for the ace, gets the ace, and the 6th one as well for Enery. Invincible no more, because a bigger giant is here, and that giant, that immortal player is Enery.
Because it's insane. Neri just slowly picking up every single kill in that situation. She's the one to open things up, found the frag onto Felsi, from the not dead yet as well. You can see here just a recap of all this and how Neri actually manages to play around her team's utility. You see the Trailblazer going out here, and even though she's the one getting all the kills, right? It's her teammates that are assisting her in their endeavor, always going out together with her, and it's insane. She's got Annihilation back again.
Yeah, it's very easy to recycle this ultimate because the orb count isn't as, as sadistic as other orb counts, but at least for Enery, the fact that she's shooting a lot of kills really presents her with this opportunity to again reuse the Annihilation, but the grab net catches Angela.
He's down again
Towards Hall. Again, Wingman is down, broken apart, and Enery is setting up herself for success. The Thrash connects towards Alexi. Alexi is detained, but Enery quick to the backup, but misses the shot. Camille gets 2, and Invincible's GC, they wind up towards side upheaval on front side. 3v2 now. Felsi and Angela having to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, this is impossible. They drop a smoke there to give themselves a little bit of room to play around with, but the only utility they have is a blast pack and a metal. I don't think it's gonna be enough. You gotta hit those shots. Some insane shots has to be hit by Felsi right here. First one's found. Alexi traded back. Picks up the bit of the HP to overheal. Alexi doesn't even need to see where Felsi is. Drops the nade right on her location, and that is wraps. 5 rounds now on the board. Another great run coming from XIPTO to deny the spike plant yet again. The wingman is just not being able to get the spike plant down. Great pull, plant denial coming in from XIPTO, time and time again.
Yeah, Ice always pops the wingman, and the wingman, it feels like never seems to successfully plant the spike because again, you have so much delay coming in from XIPTO. The fact that they're brave enough to open up their bodies and then get a few bullets going into the wingman, having it cost to cancel it. And then you also have other oppressive utilities. You have the paint shells, you have the satchel, you also have the Molly from Brimstone. I think that's a very well-rounded, delay that you have. You also have these passive delays, the barrier mesh, the trap wire. So it is very hard for you to traverse around these traps, even in the extent that you have a Raze, because people will always argue that Raze is the counter towards Cypher. But when you have two Sentinels up and running with so much traps you have to deal with, it's a guessing game at that point.
Yeah, your trips are definitely not going to be able to get both of the Sentinel utility. And even if you do, you still got the barrier mesh that you kind of have to deal with, depending on where Neri chooses to use it. But again, yeah, they kind of send Wingman in for a bit of a suicide mission. And then whether it's gun spam or utility spam, the XIPTO are so proficient at denying that spike plant down. And this is a map that XIPTO don't really play too often. It is not one of the most picked maps, so I can understand if teams don't really know how to deal with this. This is the first time XIPTO bring in that deadlock as well, right? We saw Boba, have the deadlock on Bind as well. So, maybe the two top teams have some ideas of how they want to abuse this deadlock, this duo agent. But so far, it's been working out really, really well.
Yeah, it has been working really well. The fact that XIPTO took that time out after winning the round shows that they are quite unhappy with how they're, playing rounds out. Sure, they get the wins, but sometimes it's a close call. Unless that, aside from that, Enery 6K. Yeah, but a few times, few far in between, I think Invincibles, they were able to liquidate few players of XIPTO. They get 4 kills, and then they're able to run rampant in the side. So yeah, XIPTO, of course, they will look forward to working on that. But as we wait, we have a technical pause. Just waiting, guys, for a brief moment. Yesterday, I had Pilsky sent over to the server room to try to fix it with his screwdrivers and his hammers. Yeah, he's basically our jack of all trades. He fixes everything up. So maybe this time we'll have to call him, but I don't know. We'll have to wait this one out.
Yeah, let me just ring up Pilsky. I don't know what time is it for him right now in Australia. I think it's pretty
That's
late.
true.
But yeah, we might need him back for this one. But I think in the meantime, Invincible GC, I think they can spend this time to really just think about how they want to approach this, composition, because I don't think it's a comp that a lot of teams are comfortable playing against. Right, playing the deadlock, it's unfamiliar territory, right? So that is one issue that they have to get over with. Another one is just the fact that the XIPTO players are all crazy shooters. I mean, Shirazi was, back when Chamber was a thing, she was a Chamber main. Alexi was a duelist, went to a bit of a initiator duties, back to duelist again, and then Aneri is now kind of playing that flex role. And her mechanics are just so good, and you put her on any different agent, she's still able to put up crazy numbers. So it's a scary prospect, no matter how you want to face it on whatever map.
Indeed. I feel like the fact that Enery, she was renowned with her dueling capabilities back then, and she was always spamming the Jet, the Raze. A few times, often than not, we see her playing the Reina, and she was a stellar duelist back in her Celeste days, and now and then she went on to SMG, and then now in XIPTO. She's very great at it, and the fact that she was able to showcase her potential and her skill set in the world stage up against the likes of Team Liquid, and then other teams, especially against Evil Geniuses. If you recall, SMG picking up 4 duelists and
yes.
Just running on towards EG. That was pretty insane, and the fact that now she's leaning on towards a more flexible role, like how Colden mentioned, just shows to you how good this player really is. She's able to pop a lot of frags with the duelist agents, and then she now racks up 11 kills in 8 rounds with Deadlock. So this flexibility just enables XIPTO to approach their game style in a much more dynamic way, I suppose. You can always let her play anything and she will be delivering in that regard. But we also have to give props to other players from XIPTO, Lexi, consistent on the duelist, consistent on the Raze. And then you have Camille, the ever so supportive teammate with the flashes, the utility. Shirazi, just an iron wall in the back of the site, holding as well. Tara. Now, Tara is a very special case because then you have this experience coming in, because Terra is seen as the mother of these players. You know, she's always there to cradle up upon them. She was the IGL back in the Celeste days, and also in SMG for a brief stint. But yeah, I feel like XIPTO with this current roster, they really have what we call, I think, an all-roundedness towards their roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of us can go on and on about how crazy the XIPTO team is, and I think we've seen it last year as well when they went to champs and they put on a crazy performance. But I think looking on the other side of things, Invincible GC, it's a team that's kind of gone under the radar for quite a few people, myself included. When I was looking at the group stage of stage 2, I didn't really give them too much notice, but they did put up a crazy performance where they took down Rima, which was a very, kind of a fan favorite back in stage 1. So it was quite surprising, in my opinion, that they were able to take down Rima. They were also able to take down Kaba Dinosaur and Forefront. All those teams pretty decent in their own right, and Forefront and Kaba Dinosaur having players that have been in the scene for quite a long time. So seeing Invincible GC now come into the scene, come into stage 2, win out the initial game up against Kaba Dinosaur. Now I think there's so many players that have potential to really pop off and become staples in the scene. We have Kit Kat. I think she's been a very flexible player. Of course, Felsi, I think she's incredibly sharp as well. Angela, I mean, yes, when was the game? Was it yesterday? She put on a stupid amount of first bloods.
Yeah, it was yesterday. The first day,
yeah. 21 first bloods, 15 first deaths, plus 6 total in the series, which is crazy work from your entry duelists. So really cool to see new players really put their stamp on the scene, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. And I've always talked about this as well. This discussion has been happening. We have a lot of regeneration coming in, and I feel like that's a very good thing, because back in the days, back in 2022, 2021, we were exposed to names like Casper, names like Iceberg, these captains, these legends. I'd say legends in the game changers scene. Now we don't see them anymore. Their names already gone. But then you have star players coming in, like how Colden mentioned. These young bloods from Angela, from Kit Kat, and even from other teams. And it seems like our yapping is finally coming to fruition, because we are back in the game. If you want to be a caster, you got to learn how to yap, right?
Yeah, that is rule number 1, or at least skill number 1.
Number 1 skill, very important. And now, what is more important is for Invincible's GC to at least rack up another round. Angela does have the showstopper, but Camille this time won't show herself, hiding in the hookah area. As they flash in, finding their way inside, Camille still shrouded behind the smoke. As the wingman won't be the one planning, it's gonna be Ice. And the retake coming in now from XIPTO.
Oh, the flank coming in from long, and Invincible. Now they're getting a little bit worse for wear. They're trapped within the site. They need to fight for a little bit of control. If not, they don't have access to CT, hookah, or long. They're gonna get pincered upon, and there is the first one. Shirazi coming with the trade, and it's a bloodbath in the site. Easy as you like. XIPTO just clean things up. They got that game plan set, and they just executed to perfection. Every single choke point, coming in XIPTO's favor. Invincible had nowhere to run.
Indeed. Very good flank. They're pincered from left, right, and center. You have the flank coming in. You have the Camille. You have Camille and Hookah as the sleeper agent, just waiting to pop off. And Invincible's GC, they had a bigger fish to fry, and the players of XIPTO just came in, guns blazing. So a very good round coming in from XIPTO. Even if they had to play retake, but I guess that's not a problem for them. Now for Invincibles, on the bright side, they got the spike plant, and this time they can rebuy their guns. However, if they lose here, they're forced to another pit of just buying and ecoing for the next few limbos, and that is going to be very hard for them. Now the flash, trying to reveal positions. 2 flashes stacked, layered behind Alexi, just hiding in the smoke, gets caught by Angela, trying to be a smoke criminal, but Kit Kat is the police, and they try to just pop the showstopper right in front, and XIPTO crumbled into pieces as Sight opened as easy as ABC. Shirazi looking to be the clutcher here. But Invincibles, they are invisible this time.
Yeah, how does Shirazi want to navigate this? So many corners to look around. It's a default plant spot. They're in towards this elbow position as well. Shirazi going a little bit of a gander. Gonna explore long, but she's been spotted out. Yeah, Rosie, comms comes through. Nice turnaround. And that is Invincible's third round on the board. Nice trades coming into the side. Great on them to find the opening counter. Alexia, it was actually Angela, right? Super sharp on her aim. Managed to find the first spam onto, I think it was Camille in the smoke, or through the smoke as well. You see right here, nice flick coming in. And then the wingman to clear out the close corner. The showstopper not even going to be invested onto Tara. Actually catches Ineri in the back lines. So I like the, the split-second decisions coming in from Invincibles to really ensure that the trades come through.
Yeah, very good trades from Invincibles. They were clearing corners. They were, all out with the utility, just making sure they had a lot of information to go with. And now, of course, the barrier mesh. This one is not as tactical because easily breakable and gives Angela that mobility to just roam around the site. Henry behind the smoke could just pop some heads, looking to hold her trigger, but there goes the teleport. Henry won't take her chances, and she will leave this one out for Alexi to work with. Ooh. As the steps now coming in, Invincibles, they knock on the doorsteps of Alexi.
Don't clear her as well. She's gonna live. She's gonna buy so much time by just surviving that. Tara, actually, with the orbital strike, will catch on the Rosie. They have no idea about Alexi's position. Well, gonna pop the ultimate, but Shirazi Camille just holding down the fort, and then the pincer comes into the site, and they only lose Ineri in all that chaos. 7 rounds on the board. And oh, what a brilliant anchoring job from Alexi this time around. Buys so much time for teammates to come back in, and again, a beautiful pincer onto the B side.
Yeah, very, very good pincers movement, and they also had to commit the orbital strike, but this one from Angela, sadly, I feel like in the best case scenario and in the best world, she was able to at least she could be able to get 2 kills, but alas,
yeah,
things sometimes don't go your way, and Angela had to settle with that, sadly, this time.
Oh, Mosh Pit kind of missing its mark there, but no issue,
Ow.
no one there for showers.
Trap looking to just pop ice, stopping her in her way, and Angela just satcheling into the site with the judge, having the smoke as her cover, but all dissipates, and the flash popping already. Tara looking to make a play, but Alexi from behind with a rocket, and Shirazi as well, up and quick to the flank, but the spike drop. It is pitted against 4 and 5 players of XIPTO. They have to go on a rescue mission. Angela blazing into the site, and Shirazi closing the book with a triple kill. XIPTO again as strong as ever. Immovable fort, immovable shield, immovable object, unstoppable force.
I'm not sure how the spike went out. I know that Alexi came in from the teleporter with her showstopper, caught the second player in showers, but I'm not sure how the first player died. I think it was just the defense on the side itself was able to shoot down through that showers smoke, perhaps. But still, again, Invincible get the site, but they don't get the spike down. And XIPTO have been doing such a beautiful job in navigating these, chaotic rounds. This time around, Alexi's got to post up long with this operator. Oh, Annihilation comes in, doesn't hit anyone though. Break of the Thrash, Seekers all invested, a dinker to Alexi. The heal comes through, so an exchange of utility, an exchange of gunfire, but still XIPTO remain in control over this long position. The flash confirms that there's no one there as well. Invincible lose out on that big fight there.
You can take a look at how they're basically protecting Alexi, enabling her to maneuver around, be long. You have so much utility to just shoo away the players of Invisibles. And the fact that you also have the graph net just immobilizes them. Alexi being flashed, re-peaks and dies. Sadly, Camille as well, having to eat and bite the paint shells. But Ineri, will she be able to conjure something out of nothing? She will fall down to Felsi. 2v4. Tara next, looking to just hold, or Shirazi rather. Tara with a shot. A good one at that. Shirazi looking the headshot. The null commander, rather, the ultimate, just looking to reveal. Shirazi dancing away, but sadly Angela will be the guardian angel. And XIPTO they lose out an 8-4 now.
Oh, that was such a close round. I mean, when it's Shirazi in this kind of situations, she is incredibly sharp and she almost made it work. But yeah, that is 8-4 at the half. Invincibles cling on for just a bit longer, but let's throw it to the desk to see what they think of the half.
Wow. Oh my god.
8-4.
Okay.
Invincible managed to get 4 rounds, and we said, how many rounds do you think that Invincible are going to get? And I said 13-4. So my 4 rounds are there, and you said 13-5, but
which means ZIPTO's gonna have a perfect game in order for you to get your prediction right.
The thing is, though, you know, we see Deadlock fragging out. How often do we see that? And I'm really glad that it was 8-4 because we get plenty more rounds to see what XIPTO have prepared with their Cypher Deadlock comp on their attack. That post-plant utils and the combos that you were talking about.
Especially on the attack, that's where it's the strongest, right? But at the same time, that's also where Invincible, they've shown that they have the firepower to kind of match ZIPTO for some of these rounds. The only thing is that ZIPTO are just so good at positioning themselves for the trades. You always see, first of all, Shirazi, incredible anchor on that Cypher. She's always kind of positioned around triple or around the crates on the A site, and she's very good at reacting so quickly to her opponents, and that's why you don't often get to see that wingman getting the spike down, which is unfortunate. But apart from that, it's just the fact that I think Angelo Faye has a pretty good mechanical skill as well. I mean, she was able to take down Alexi in round, I think it was round 10, when Alexi was trying to play around the smoke. So hopefully they can do more of that to play against XIPTO.
All right, now it's time to head to our second half, you know, switching halves. So I'm going to toss it back to the casters.
All right, appreciate it, Jen and Quack. Yeah, you guys mentioned 4 rounds was the max that any team got against ZIPTO, and well, Invincible, they've already got that. Anything more? Let's see what they have in store.
Yeah, we all hope that, you know, they might be able to defy the odds and just maybe, you know, breeze past 4, get maybe 5 or 6. That's still an achievement, but now then, XIPTO, how will they play out this attacker side? If we take a look at the composition, it's much more defensive, but this one-way smoke could punish Rosie. No, it won't. It's just a ruse to force back the players of XIPTO, but they will regress for the second time towards B site. KitKat just firing away the bullets, and still so much silence yet broken away by KitKat with a dink. Ooh. Towards Shirazi, 13 HP, she goes down, with the bullets having to be stuck on her head, and Alexi, no satchels to entry, so this will be just a walk in the park now for her. Can't really just dash into the side, but the flank coming in, double flank from Invincibles. This could be very scary, Colden.
Yeah, they're so deep and they're not gonna push. They're just gonna hold these awkward angles. ZIPTO seems like they're a little bit aware, but how aware are you? This angle I've not seen in a very long time. It's so awkward. Finds the first onto Tara. That just smokes down. The flash comes in. ZIPTO change their focus yet again. They find that pick onto KitKat, and they know that the flank is compromised, so they just take the TP. Nobody's in the A side. They heard the TP coming in from Felsi towards Hookah, so now the A side is completely free for the taking. Barra Mesh towards that CT spawn position, but they have to worry about the flank yet again. They're still here. They're still wreaking havoc. Angela, nice kill there, but Shirazi's come in from the flank of the flag.
It's a very, very scrambled position for both sides. And this barrier mesh will just buy a lot of time for XIPTO, forcing Invincibles to drop from heaven. And this is the standard protocol, the standard sequence of dropping that barrier mesh towards the backside. It really buys a lot of time for the retakes. And Kamiyu can still peek away from U-Haul as well, because it's not like a Sage wall like Holden mentioned, but Felsi does get Alexi with the pick-me-up, extra protection. We'll try to tap the spike and even stick it. Felsi, will she be able to survive the tap spike, or the defuse rather, going forward? But Felsi gets another headshot. Will she be able to hold on this one out? Shirazi! She misses on the kill. And the triple feels so bittersweet because Invincibles, they still win the round. And at that, they break the record of XIPTO's 13-4 wins. They max it out to 5 rounds now.
Alright, what a crazy round coming in Invincible. I mean, the double flank at first, yeah, that was a great idea. Felsi perhaps played a hand a little bit too early, took the teleporter, but this is the fight that happened on the site itself. In this 2 versus 3, Felsi, I mean, so well done to find those 2 kills and, you know, able to stick the spike to half as well. Gave her team so much of an opportunity, just stick the last remaining half right there, and that is exactly what they did. 5 rounds now on the board, they look to extend it to 6. This anti-eco.
Yeah. This time, holding on to the judges, Kit Kat being dropped by Henry, but before that, she's able to bring one to her with her to the grave, and Henry just being healed with a regrowth really helps her to sustain even other duels she wants to take later on down the road. But Rosie holding off an off angle gets an Henry, and with the Spectre, she's able to just pluck one out again. With a 1-man advantage, of course, Invincibles, they look to not slip this one out, but Terra making a move. Sadly, though, punished by Angela. And the spike is down, all line of sight of the players of Invincibles GC. As Camille will try to cross out, gets the headshot, but the paint shells will take her down. Shirazi, 6-6. With the Sheriff in hand, this is all just a dream. If she really wants to clutch this, she'll have to pull a miracle. A one for us to remember in a very long time. But the cam as well, not supplementing her with enough information, means she has to walk past the smoke. Or maybe just wait until it dissipates, and it does. Shirazi try to peek out. Well, Ice and Felsi looking at the same angle. The headshots come back. Shirazi, there is no way she'll clutch this. Yes, she won't. And for a brief moment, my heart stopped. But Shirazi, the sharpshooter of XIPTO, is just cracking heads. Thankfully, they're for Invincibles. They extend their rounds to 6 wins.
I saw a very real reality where that happened. What are these shots? Perfectly
Oh my god.
on point. But Rosie, I looked at the overlay, and Rosie was on 20 HP, and I was like, oh my gosh, if she just lands a crazy flick. Another 1v3 that almost goes into Shirazi's favor. We saw in the first half as well. You never want to counter her out, but still, that is great damage. Look at the buy for this bonus for Invincible. It's not great. Angela with the only threatening gun, I guess, with the Outlaw. Oh, and it is very threatening. First kill found already. That's a beautiful start to kick things off.
Indeed. To get that first kill towards Alexia as well. That's a huge loss, of course. Knowing that Invincibles might just trail from behind. Oh my goodness, ahead popping slowly, but Shirazi is going to be the one decapitating Angela, and Anari swinging on the same time as the others are down and under the barrier being popped towards CT spawn. And Anari has the annihilation. She could be playing with her food. But Invincibles, they're just trying to shred this one down. Henry is just playing around with these players. Henry spraying away. Kit Kat looking for a way inside. But Shirazi behind Henry will help her out with the triple kill as well. And XIPTO, they finally break away from that 2-round streak from Invincibles GC.
I know that Kit Kat was only breaking the small little ore, but it looks so funny with the extra
behind the smoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
But and the kill by Neri on was it Shirazi? No, Shirazi's kill onto Angela. Angela had the Outlaw. We saw it from a POV for a bit, but in the kill feed, I mean, Shirazi was the one who managed to get the kill, which is really difficult, it seems. But still, I mean, this is the XIPTO players. They can pull off crazy shots. Annihilation, as you mentioned, available for Neri, so that could be a very strong ult, especially towards B long.
A one-way smoke, which is much more aggressive because now you don't really have the brimstone to play with, so you don't have that extra delay, but you have these kind of smokes that will halt and you know, shoo away the players to not peek instantly. It buys you sometimes, but it's not as punishing as a brim mollies per se or an orbital strike, but still it is something that they can work with now. Henry will be the one spearheading this execute. Has the annihilation. Will she use it now? Looking for a right visible amount of time. And it does get someone cocooned up to the skies. Is Rosie. Will anyone help her? No. But Velsi still able to get the kill, and Rosie finally falls through the annihilation. Triple kill for Henry. The showstopper is there. Henry fishing for more kills, but Shirazi is left as the last woman standing. Standing no more as Ice will again freeze her to death. And Invisibles, they withstand the execute and the rush coming in towards site.
I mean, Angela getting 2 kills in that situation. She flies across the screen like a fighter jet with a rocket in her hands.
Wow.
I mean, look at this. Okay, give it a few more seconds, I guess.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
There it
flag
is.
across the first one, and then the kill onto an area as well.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it from a POV to super cool. Just, you know, tap strafing left and right. Just the bit of counter strafe right there. Just throw up the aim. Brilliantly done. A crucial round right there. XIPTO now. Money not the best. They need to win this. If not, they're going to be put down on the eco or going to be taken by the Invincible side. But nice shot right there. Takes down the spearhead of Alexi.
Oof. That is a very, very important kill as well towards Alexi. She loses her head. So will Shirazi and Camille next on the chopping block. But Henry and Tara, again, the Indonesian duo. Will they be able to just pull something back? A dink towards an Henry, but he will be able to hold on and get the kill. The barrier mesh towards backside. And Angela.
Just Angela for the time being. She's by herself.
Looking to make a play. The timeout. Or rather, the timing is very, very good for Angela. And Tara will get the kill. Now a 1v2 situation with the spike in hand.
Smoke's down.
It's technically an isolated 1v1 for the time being. The paranoia comes through. It will hit onto Tara. Ooh, and a lot of chip damage already done through the smoke. KitKat's gonna come in from the long flank. It's a judge though, but I think it still might be able to do the work. 30 HP to Tara's name. Has the incendiary, but it's gonna be rough using it from this position. He's going to be playing it in U-Haul. That is an unconventional spot for this plant. Finds a great timing. Rosie backs turn. That's the first. One more to find. Is the judge in long range as well? How does this work? The smoke comes in, and so does the incendiary. I think it should be good for the mark. Yeah, it will push KitKat off. She has to respect it, but it's already ticked down to half. And as the spike ticks down even lower, KitKat just resigns to her fate. Tara with the 1v2 clutch. And somehow XIPTO gets away with yet another round.
Wait, what? She re-stepped again towards the molly, or the incendiary rather, from Brimstone and from Tara. And that is a very good clutch coming in again. Pulling magic back-to-backs. Henry and Tara in tandem. But this was so good from Angela, holding so much ground and also dropping the spike. But Tara just catches Rosie, oblivious of what's happened. And Tara with the triple kill and the clutch is so good.
I think KitKat got a little bit anxious in that clutch, maybe trying to min-max, you know, the amount of HP you can take while running through the spike, perhaps. Not expecting the Brimstone Molly to be dealing that much that quickly. And it does deal a lot of damage very quickly, is the Brimstone Molly. I think it deals the most damage out of any Molly in the game, so you gotta be a little bit careful in stepping into that thing.
Indeed. And now XIPTO calling another timeout, looking to maybe fix their mistakes, because for a few times they were contesting control for shower area, but they've always failed to seize it. And the fact that if they do seize it, it's always in the cost of Alexi's head. It's always going to be Alexi dying in the first place. So again, I get the idea that Alexi wants to do the entry, but it's just so hard for XIPTO to keep losing Alexi, because Alexi will be the main explosive power coming into the side. But big fight might happen. Invincibles, they will be playing inside the smoke. The flash comes out, and there goes the bloodbath. But it is going to be a bloodbath for Invincibles. Thankfully, though, Felsi, or rather Ice, still able to evacuate as the Seekers popped, and they will march onto the site.
Yeah, the Seeker's just gonna expose where Ice is playing from. The Grabner comes in, she's flushed out into the open, and Neri picks up all 3 kills, and this low buy attempt, this mini aggro push towards that A-shot position comes out not much to do here. KitKat, 1v2 with 1 HP left, and Shirazi will close things out, but the response from XIPTO was so fast. Both players shot the Dizzy instantly. It wasn't able to get a single flash off on any of the XIPTO players. Look at this. Immediately broken. No chance. Felsi with a nice shot there, but the trades from Aneri were just too fast.
Wow. They were expecting something called on that you know, little set play that Invincibles made, because that smoke was pretty sus. That smoke was way too deep, and the players of Invincibles, of course, all exposed into that one angle. Now, of course, XIPTO, they are skyrocketing their way onto the match point. Alexi, this time again looking for an entry point, but Felsi holding her ground as Alexi full blinded onto the backside, but still unpunished. 4 players in shower for Invincibles, but the barrier mash will make the Thrash suck, and they will run towards B side. But can Alexi get something? Can Alexi be the main thorn inside? But Kit Kat still holding, just holding for dear life, as Enery will put her to sleep. 3v4 now, full retake coming in for Invincibles, but XIPTO, they will try to hold their way inside.
I mean, everyone on Invincible is coming in from a flank, either hookah or B long. Alexi's gonna get all this information. How does XIPTO want to play around this? Oh, from the shadows, teleport to the back of the side, but Neri has vision of it. Threat comes in for a second round. I think he manages to catch up to one of the players, and Neri needs to hold it, assist her teammates, and it's not going to be the case for Invincible. Stuck in hookah, Felsi just has to resign to her fate. It's 12 on the ball for XIPTO. Another beautiful round navigated. And the nice teleport comes in, denies Invincible another round, and it's 3 in a row.
Oh my goodness, that Thrash block was so immense, because then it forced them to break, and then XIPTO also opted for the rotate towards B side, which was so good. And then look at how they held their ground. And now XIPTO on towards the first map, possibly because that 12th round is just lingering in their heads.
Yeah, the money's not looking great for Invincible as well. Look at the weapons that they have. It's not ideal. Here it comes, XIPTO, a fast push down towards A yet again. Full on executed. Dizzy's great, but Angela around the corner. Nice shot there. Her position now exposed. Spam through the box. Draws a boombox for a bit of safety. Expects the push. Nice. Strafe comes in. Takes a Shrazi. Showstoppers in her hand. Finds yet another kill coming in. Tara and Neri, last 2 people standing. The spike is lost in the open as well. And Neri's got to hit some shots. And yes, she does. The paranoia comes in. The judge of Kit Kat holds firm. But Tara's the one to pick up the frag. Rosie now trying to find the second to last. Catches Tara on the rotate. And Neri versus Rosie in the clutch. With barely any HP, takes the teleporter, and Neri's gonna hear this. Plans to a safe spot back of sight. She's gonna get the annihilation off of it as well. Rosie has gotta play quiet now. Dodges it. And Neri playing within the smoke with just 8 bullets. Rosie waiting for the dissipate and finds it to perfection. Invincibles, they stay alive. Angela with a beautiful 3K on the side puts Rosie in a doable clutch, and we go yet again.
Oh my god, I love this series already, because this is so intense and so insane. Look at how Invincible's GC, yeah, she got the 3 kills, and this one, it was all a trade. She was able to hold for so long, and Enery just quick on the trade back as well. And Rosie just puts Tara down. It was chaotic in A side, pandemonium. And this time around, Invisible's GC, they will be the ones shoving their shoulders behind XIPTO.
Enery's on 34 kills. I just looked at the scoreboard. I didn't even realize it. She's on 34 kills at round 21.
Wow. Yeah,
all right.
Already with 30 kills in the name of Enery. And now Alexi with the showstopper will satchel around looking for an angle, but gets Felsi. But Felsi with the extra life that she has, Angela pops Enery back down, and Felsi will repick this angle, but Shirazi is so strong. Triple box is her place to stay, but Kit Kat will behead her from behind. 2v3 now. XIPTO does have, again, the orbital strike, but how long will they hold? Tara will no longer stand tall. Angela triple kill. The molly won't really eat them and burn them, but invincible. They are looking invincible.
This is the most flustered I've seen XIPTO this entire stage, and the only other team other than them is Boba. This is the most tested I've seen XIPTO outside of Boba in this entire year.
Wow. This is just insane. Invincibles, they're giving one hell of a good fight. I'm at a loss of words as to how insane they're playing and holding this down. Maybe we can make a case of how XIPTO is struggling with the composition they have, because they have that single entry only in the hands of Alexi. But if Alexi does die, then how longer can they hold? And the fact that now Invincibles, they are looking for that 11th round, because look at XIPTO now. Their bye is devastating, and this is going to be agonizingly close. And Invincibles, they're stacking 3 players up in hookah. But the combo though, might catch can get. Oh, Shirazi! Oh, with the bullet, and Alexi just opened this up with her towards the B site. Gets the Vandal on her hand, and Invincibles GC, they might be trying to get up close and personal with this retake. Look at this barrier mesh though. This will just buy them a lot of time and also reveal their positions with the gun sounds.
Smoke.
But XIPTO, their angles are way too tight. Their angles are way too strong. Alexi still has a satchel to remove the potential of a movement coming in. Alexi! Tarantula rather gets taken down with the triple kill for Alexi, looking for the quad now. And it's Ice running for the hills, no longer having anything to hold on to. Invincibles were testing their limits, and their limit is XIPTO Esports.
Oh, they tried so tough, but it's the eco that does them in. The beautiful util that came in, the Gravnet together with the page shells forced the players to jump out of hookah or die to that combo, and Shirazi was more than ready, crept up towards B Long, got that kill in, and that was just it, right? Just 2 instant entries into the B site, just got them access to it. And there was just no access for the rest of the Invincible squad. So despite them putting up such a great fight, XIPTO still pulled out ahead. I think that first half was just too much of a lead going in.
Yeah, I can imagine a world where maybe Invincibles GC might get that overtime if they didn't lose so many rounds the first half. And yeah, it's another story to tell, and we will move on to map 2.
Yeah, but that's it from us for now. We're gonna hit back to that to see how they're gonna break down that second half.
13-9 on Bind. Now, Bind went the way of XIPTO, but honestly, genuinely surprised at how many rounds that Invincible were able to get off from XIPTO. I mean, that's even like more than double the number that anyone's ever gotten from XIPTO as well. Do you think this is a testament of how strong that Invincible got, and also how, stronger the competitiveness in SEA is getting right now?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I honestly feel it's a bit of both, but it's actually a bit more of Invincible being that good. I don't think any of us really expected this, or any of us really paid that much attention, honestly, to Angelolfe. But now we have to, right? Because she is doing so much work for Invincible alongside her teammates. We're seeing this in so many of the rounds. That said, though, it still is a XIPTO win.
Yeah.
I mean,
Aneri, 35 kills.
Yeah.
421 ACS?
Yeah, that's crazy. I think part of that is due to the fact that she got she got a 6k ace in round 6 or 7, which was already insane. It wasn't as though her opponents were on just like an ego or anything, but she really was able to play around her teammates and take advantageous duels against her opponents, resulting in such a high KD. Yes, that is undoubtedly one of the biggest factors to why XIPTO won this map, but also Shirazi as the anchor, and so much that XIPTO were doing. In round 17, there was a moment where, round 19, there was a moment where actually Invincible was going up against them in a 3v4 retake. And XIPTO were down in numbers, but because XIPTO were just holding things down, having the patience to watch some of the angles, they ultimately eliminated every single person from Invincible as they approached through B Long. That was when I think Ice was throwing in a thrash and everything, but Shirazi managed to avoid it. So that was awesome. But clearly you can see Invincible has the firepower to match XIPTO.
Yeah.
14 first kills. That's right.
And then XIPTO still wins.
Yeah, unfortunately.
but the fact that, because we talked about when we had the player head-to-head and players to watch, we had XIPTO players getting 11 first kills, doing so much for their team. but you know, it looks like the script was flipped for the first kills. Invincible with a lot of fragging power and also the firepower as well. Oh, this was, you know, all over the place.
Yeah, it looks a little bit all over the place, but actually looking at where the red spots are, you can clearly see, especially on the A side, that's where the spike was. I think that's where a lot of times, unfortunately, Invincible kind of dropped down, and that's where XIPTO got a lot of kills. But at the same time, around Garden and the back of B side, that's where a lot of these fights happened, because we had that deadlock Cypher composition. That's how they managed to really turn things around, because you see so many times that barrier mash blocks XIPTO off, blocks Invincible off so much that they have to find alternate routes, and it's always very tricky for them to find retakes. I will say though, in some of these rounds, they were really good at actually taking fights head on against XIPTO, just because of how Angelofe is not afraid to peek out against them.
And that's something that's, you know, a good thing, a very positive aspect to look forward to when it comes to your duelist, right, on the team. But Aneri, as we saw on the heat map, XIPTO had 95 kills, and Aneri alone had 35. That's more than 1/3. She was doing so much and was on point. Headshot percentage, almost 30%. That's
Without
crazy.
a doubt. I mean, this is like straying away a little bit from XIPTO Esports' usual playbook, which is the double duelist and Ari as the secondary duelist. But now even as the Sentinel, she's basically a duelist. So
Yep.
I can't wait to, I guess, like, because you gotta remember, there were some rounds where you always count the combo that was wrong with the Lexus himself. The Invincible players could not escape from.
Last player standing.
So it's a lot of these rounds where you can definitely see, this is the one with the 6 kills. But yeah, it's XIPTO Esports ultimately still being that good, that mechanically good with every single player. Shirazi almost 1v3ing with the Sheriff, if not for Invincible with an off angle. But Invincible, especially with Angelofe, I think this is what's really impressive and gives me the most hope, Jen, for Lotus, because that is Invincible's map pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right? Is where they have so much to offer, and you can clearly see that they pushed XIPTO to their limits a little bit. Like, Aneri had to be activated in order to pull out the confident win towards the end of the map.
And also, you know, we were talking about, because Invincible put up such a good fight against XIPTO, that they might be top 3, which is super interesting to watch. And we have Lotus coming up, a map where they feel a little bit more comfortable, so we're going to see that going. But I really do want to point at the fact that, you know, with XIPTO, of course, they're mechanically gifted, but when it comes to the comps that they were running, when I was talking to the players and Korean challengers who initially implemented this deadlock Cypher comp, they said, you know, in order to be successfully running this comp, you really have to have a great understanding, and you really need to, everyone needs to fully understand why you're running this comp. And the fact that they got a win on Bind despite Invincible kind of trying to claw their way back, it just really goes off to show that they have been putting so much work on understanding this comp, and that their strategy wise, they're impeccable as well. But with that in mind, XIPTO does take the bind, and we have Lotus coming up, but I'm going to toss it off to a short break, so make sure you join us after a little bit of break time. All right, see you soon. Welcome back to the stream, guys. I'm your host, Jen Lee. Joining me here is Quack. Now, we're getting ready to jump into Lotus because Bind ended in XIPTO's way 13-9. But I don't think Invincible should treat that as a loss, though. It's definitely a good game, and they've shown so much, proved so much on that map alone, right, Quack?
For sure. They were showing that they were able to take fights against XIPTO, and they were able to withstand those fights against XIPTO because they didn't drop too far off. They actually had pretty good statistics and a pretty good good score line against XIPTO Esports.
If it wasn't for Inari, you know.
And that's 6K.
But yeah. But both teams, you know, showing really good games and performing very well. It looks like everyone is kind of feeling it, and Lotus is kind of anyone's game at this point. Interesting, because Lotus is actually Invincible's map pick, but 13-9. I mean, I'm genuinely still surprised at the fact that Invincible were able to get 9 rounds off of XIPTO. I don't think that record's going to break for a long time. At least in SEA, right?
At least in SEA, surely. You never quite know what's going to happen. I mean, who knows how Boba might play in the future matches as well. But looking at this for now, it's the fact that Lotus is Invincible's map pick. They have a very specific composition that they've been running for quite a while, consistently in all their previous games. And also the fact that they're starting out on the defensive side.
Okay, so talk to me about the comp that they run.
Okay, so I think you and I are very familiar with this composition. It's one of the more meta or optimal ones that we see at the very least in Pacific for sure, where you run the Viper alongside an Omen, and then you also have the Raze Fade combo alongside with at least one Sentinel, so that's going to be Killjoy for Invincible. And this is the one that Genji kind of runs.
Yeah, the Genji comp.
That's pretty much it. When you started out on the defensive side, and if you know how to control the map that well, it can be a very, very strong, very oppressive composition.
And especially because Invincible, you know, they're coming in fresh from their Lotus game, you know, they were able to pinpoint what they were lacking on their Lotus. They have enough reps. So it's going to be exciting to see. But on the other hand, what about XIPTO with their 100% win rate on Lotus?
100% win rate. How many times have they played this one? It's going to be interesting because they run a very aggressive composition. They played this 5 times and they've won 5 times out of those 5. And they run like, my god, it's double duelist with like a Sky instead of, you know, a Fade. So you have the Cypher alongside an Omen that gives you a little bit more control, but then it's also the Raze and the Reyna, which seems a bit crazy, seems a bit chaotic, seems like a certain team that we know that likes to hold down the WP.
The comparison is still there.
It really is just fresh
For
in our
Lotus,
minds.
yeah. But you know, it's XIPTO. It doesn't really matter which Asian that they pick. They're still fragging, and they still, you know, win the map. So we have to wait and see. But because they are just 1 map away from making it to Bangkok, do you think they're gonna come up with, you know, maybe more standardized comp? Less risky?
I think they might have to, actually. I don't know. I mean, for a team like Invincible, it seems like they are already kind of set in their ways and they're pretty good at what they do. Even being challenged to overtime, they just lost out in the final 2 rounds. If they were able to, you know, find that more extra experience together as a whole team, then they might be able to do a lot better. Meanwhile, for XIPTO Esports, they've got that chemistry down pat. It's just the composition, they mess around with it sometimes. So I would not be too surprised if they're starting to take this a lot more seriously and they don't experiment as much anymore. It's now starting to find something more. Okay, never mind, forget it.
Okay. It is the Raze Reyna comp.
I guess, you know, if it works, right? Invincible.
Yeah, if it works, why change it? If it's not broken, why fix it?
We're always thinking about, you know, whether or not the Sky is something that has been phased out. But when it goes on alongside the Reyna, you can see why they're trying to run this, because they want to kind of layer and stack on with the Leer and the flashes together so that you can get so much more space and be that aggressive with it. And it works for a team like XIPTO Esports because they have the mechanical skills to, back that up. The only thing is, if Invincible can actually stagger them and slow them down alongside their pushes, then you're going to be looking at a whole different scoreline. So Invincible starting things out on the defensive side, they need to be able to control that space, make use of their snake bites, their toxic screens, and Rosie has to be able to, pivot around sites quickly in order to nail down some of these players.
I think that's going to be an even bigger task, especially when we had Neri fired up from map 1. So, a lot of things that Invincible should consider, and they definitely, I think Invincible kind of feel like, we can do this, guys. Look how well we performed on Bind. So we both have those kind of momentum carrying forward onto Lotus from both teams. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on Lotus. I'm going to toss it over to our casters. So casters, take us through Lotus.
Thank you, Jen, Lee, and of course Quack. Now we are going to go into Lotus. So yesterday, as this is going to be the pick of Invincible's GC, they actually lost this map pick against Cardboard Dinosaurs, but then they were able to pull back and then win the entire series. But for Lotus now, especially for XIPTO, they have a much more aggressive approach towards this map.
Yeah, I mean, this is a map that they seem to be very comfortable on for Invincible, and they've got quite a bit of reps on it. On the other side of things, I think XIPTO, yeah, they are running the exact same comp that they did the last time, but it was about 3 months ago. So going into the matchup here today, there is a little bit of role change. The agents are the same, but the people playing them are different. So last time when they played, Alexi was on the Raze and Neri's on the Reyna. Now they've swapped. Shirazi was on the Omen, Tara was on the Cypher. They've swapped. So small little changes here and there. Maybe, coming depending on how comfortable they are on the agent, what roles they need to play. This small little change, might just serve them enough to, win out this map in a convincing fashion.
Indeed, for XIPTO, I guess, yeah, what Colton has said is much true, because I don't know what it is with XIPTO, but they really like to roll the roles and kind of swap them around the players. And I feel like that kind of shows that they have a depth onto their agent pools, and everyone can play whatever. Right? Yeah, experimenting, maybe just trying to find their groove and what's the most fitting agent for a player, the one that they will settle with. But of course, Alexi will still be spearhead alongside Henry in some of the ways. Will take the fight onto XIPTO's face. Rosie gets Camille, so does Alexi fall as well. But Henry able to respond with a 1 kill of herself. KitKat with 2. Oh, Henry! Triple kill and a 1v1 now. KitKat against Henry. 10 HP. She has to stem the bleeding. Bandaged up. Unable to do just that. But KitKat will guess this. She doesn't want to chance it. And Henry will plant the spike on towards Bend. A retake. 1v1 situation for KitKat.
And there he has the paint shells, but with not much else to work around with. She needs to pop a bit of info. Oh yeah, the audio steps. This is a perfect position. There's no way KitKat's gonna clear it unless
she will.
Gotta be a full clear though. Spots around. What? Brilliant work coming in from KitKat. The awareness, the peace of mind to check every single nook and cranny, and a 3k in return. But it's KitKat's for the taking.
Oh my, she actually checked the angle. I had a second thought,
I wouldn't have checked that.
Yeah. and usually, yes, it is not a common angle to check when you're coming in from main, because you would assume she would be in waterfall or in spawn. But the fact that Henry was playing there and KitKat also had the idea that maybe, just maybe, she might play close due to her low HP means that is an angle that she has to check. That is a prerequisite before entering the site, and she did just that at Invisible GC. They're able to score their first, taking the pistol from the hands of XIPTO. And we have a series in our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, for Invi now, or rather for Invincible, with Ice playing as the lone woman up in C site. Henry will just Pop the paint shells alongside with the nano swarm as well. No entry potential with the satchels. Non-bot yet. And the toxic screen. A funky one at that from KitKat. Usually you'd put it in A main, but this is going to probably just falter the attempts of XIPTO. But Alexi, she wants more than just the sight. She wants to push up, getting up close and personal. And Enery plants a bullet into ice domes. And Felsi will be able to fight back, but the low HP onto her hand is going to scare her a bit. The flashes will going inside. Enery is still tapping away, doesn't get any heads whatsoever, but Terra will be able to get a kill. So will Camille. One by one, they fall. A bloodbath onto Spawn, and Angela with a 1v1 situation, and she'll win it convincingly. Invincibles, back-to-back wins. They're able to claim it.
But there was the most costly scenario that you could find yourself in. Invincible lose every single player except Angela in this situation. So, got the plant, you take down 4 players, break the armor of the last as well. It's a pretty decent round still coming in from XIPTO.
Yeah, this is actually very I'd say it's a 50-50 still for both teams, because this is something that is very characteristically you know, describable of XIPTO, is the fact that they like to push on towards back spawn, because they're never content with only getting the side. You know, XIPTO, they really want to get these angles and these duels going on. But the scan does reveal 2 players up in A main, and that information, of course, guaranteed. But the showstopper, where does it go? And doesn't really hit it, and Rosie is able to escape death. She cheats death, and she gets out unscathed. Even no damage whatsoever towards her.
Yeah, and now it's a bit of a stalemate. The full stack from Invincible is here towards this side. Man, what a shot from Felsi! Takes down Enery. And they're pretty committed to XIPTO all towards this tree position. The paranoia counters coming through. The smoke screen will just deter them for a bit of time. The flash comes in. Rosie flicks onto the head. But Alexi and Tara both answers with frags of their own. Shirazi as well picks up with the Felsi backside. And now it's just down to Ice in a 1 versus 3. Down towards the drop position. Sees the trails from the scan of the Fae, but not able to hit the shot though. And XIPTO, what seemed like a little bit of a dangerous start. At the very end, they close things out with 3 players standing.
Yeah, good round from XIPTO, but I'm quite surprised. How did Enery pop the showstopper in round 3? that ultimate is very hard to farm, and the fact that she's able to get the ultimate, to get the rockets going in round number 3 is very men's. That's the highest of orders, but at least it didn't really hit anyone. But this time Invincible's GC, they want to contest Rebel control. They don't want to give it for free to XIPTO. The scan connects towards Shirazi, and she's forced to back away, especially with a deep smoke like that. Seaside, though, will be the main focal point, the point of interest for XIPTO as they get the Trailblazer going. Information inside already. Ice revealed to be in spawn, and the flash coming out to pop the heads of Ice, but Ice will get one before she dies, and Alexi avenges the death of Enery, but Rosie fights back, punches the kills into the members of XIPTO. Alexi, though, still roaring to life with her kills, and the triple one for Alexi. Angela and Rosie coming in from back, or rather from the flanks. Will satchel into the site. Angela tripping. 30 HP, looking for the movements. Alexi with the timing. She's still holding on to her crosshair. 4 kills for Alexi, but no ace, because Camille will be the one ending it all. And XIPTO, they hold on to their post plants.
Yeah, Alexi right there, teaming up with a partner in crime, I think Enery, pushing the CT position, trying to hunt down where Ice was playing. Ice with a good first one, but Alexi, the trades was sublime. I mean, she's always peeking in with the teammates. This time it was Camille flanking around from the smoke, finds a beautiful timing onto that Omen. And then the last one, of course, going in the hands of Camille. So XIPTO pull away with yet another round. They realized the heavy stack towards A. They went towards the side with only 1 player. And a bit of a change of a wall yet again. Look at this Viper's wall. Now it's more towards the choke points. Not towards the revolving door, but more towards that little door towards the side itself. Tower gets broken. It's a fast-paced run coming from XIPTO instantly straight into the side. What a great read from them. Nobody here to anchor it down, and it's gotta be a 5v5 post-plant. And Neri peeking out of just a little bit just to get that information. Drops the paint shells, flushes them even further back. Bunch of damage already dealt towards them. And with just the stingers in hand, it's gonna be a rough situation for them to come in back into this round.
It's gonna be very hard for them. This is free real estate for XIPTO, but Angela has something to say with the stingers. But Shirazi and Henry both contributing to most of the kills. Ice gets a one tap, but Tara will just respond easily. Wait, no, but the Bucky will also bring her down to death. At least Henry will clean up. And that is, all things considered, not a bad round for Invincibles. They had the gun limit. You know, they had the gun deficiency that they had to face because not much of the credits that they had with themselves in the pockets. But at least they were able to, you know, aggravate the damage towards XIPTO with multiple kills that they have. But still, XIPTO with the lead now, but it's still getting very close.
Yeah, like you mentioned that these rounds are not clean, right? Even though XIPTO, I've won 3 in a row, it's all been pretty costly. And that keeps XIPTO a little bit honest. They can't get too carried away. They've lost a couple of players in a couple of rounds already. Another great read from XIPTO though. Is another free side for the taking. It's only a single defender here, and one good smoke will just shut him out of the round already. The spike should be get planted. Not too much issue, and then this chaotic postman coming in. The door opens up. Shirazi thinks she has the timing, but the Invincibles are more than ready for it. They plant towards the C-Link, and now they're gonna push towards C-Link, gain control over the entirety of that. Showstopper popped up from B main, declare all these angles, shot in the dark, not gonna hit onto anything. Now they know where the postman's coming in for. Viper's Pit, is it gonna be enough? Barely covers the spike. Alexino coming in from the flank from the heavens, and they can still see the spike. Oh, they need an extra smoke there just for safekeeping, and yeah, they're gonna disrespect that smoke. Step straight into it. Alexi Camille finding those frags. Felsi left alone. And what an attempt on a retake, but XIPTO navigated to perfection. They wrap around from the heaven side. They play within their opponent's smoke, and they just deny Invincibles of a retake.
The firing squad arrives in time to clean out the players of Invisible GC. But at least for XIPTO, they are steamrolling Colden, not only with this lead, but with that economical advantage that they are banking upon. Because look at the credits, 5k, 3k. This is going to build upon a very sustainable buy that they will have to face with in the next 2 or 3 rounds. Meanwhile, for Invincible GC, they're falling into this limbo of buy and eco, this cycle that won't stop unless they can get a win, maybe in the next few rounds. Now, Enery looking to farm again, her showstopper. After already popping it soon, she already nearly gets it again.
I just want to bait out if
won't get anyone.
Yeah, I just want to bait out any utility, right? Tapping the alt orb, hoping to see if there's a trap play being set up, but they just grab the orb. They're gonna put Shirazi there just to, you know, feign a bit of presence, ensure that nobody takes back that mount control, and that's gonna keep 3 players of Invincibles there. They're pretty convinced it's gonna be a C play, but XIPTO have fully rotated all the way towards this A side, and there's nobody there yet again.
Oof. Shirazi still trying to be the thorn inside of the players of XIPTO. She'll be the lurker, but she will rendezvous with her players now towards A side. She will meet them again, regrouping, and A side again. Colon uncontested, given to XIPTO on a silver platter. Good reads coming in from XIPTO as well. I agree, but Invincible now faced with an invincible task to clutch, or rather retake the site. The recon looking to get someone scanned, but the Prowler close by, forcing them to drop towards hell. The satchel will delay their movement, but Angela dropping left and right. There are people dropping down, and Invincible GC, they get their hands on the site, but Camille will try to hold as long as possible. Gets it to 2 kills, but Felsi with Isis, well, with the Sheriff in hand, roaring back to life. XIPTO, it's only Tara, the captain, having to hoist the flag of XIPTO, but Falsey will stick the fuse, but she will cancel it last minute. But the spike, the fuse, oh my goodness, so close. XIPTO, they get the clutch, they get the round, and it was all by the skin of their teeth. My goodness me, Tara took a gamble right there.
Felsi stuck the spike all the way to the end. I think she might have gotten it because I don't think there was an angle for Tara to actually connect her from that position. She had to run out wide and perhaps, you know, just a little bit more time. We can see the replay right here. Yeah, sticking it. She did not have angle. She needed to push forward. So, ooh, super close margins. Felsi could have had it, but still, we live in the universe where XIPTO is in the lead. 5-2 right now. See, Mao, this is the fight that's happening. And they just disrespect the one-way smoke. Angela just shuts them both down. What a spray down from her. And that is the initial spearhead of this attack towards the C side. Immediately shut down. They tuck tail and run. They hit straight towards A. The Seeker's being popped as well. Find out the positions. But yet again, it's a retake setup. At the very least this time, it's a bit of delay on the side from Ice.
Oh, Seekers out, information gathered. And look at the delays though, Colton. The placements of these utilities are very good. Just buying that extra tad bit of time that could really make a difference, but the lockdown comes in. KitKat catches Shirazi lacking. This forces Alexi to evacuate onto a better place to try to dodge this lockdown. An Invincible GC. I'll try to hold in forever, looking to just reclaim what was theirs. But Alexi, lurking in the shadows, shrouded in secrecy. This flash though won't connect. Oh my goodness, Camille! No way! That is disgusting! Spray transfer onto Oblivion, sending Invincible's GC packing.
Oh my, 2v4? They both swing out the smoke perfectly. I mean, this was a fantastic start. The best start we've ever seen from Invincible this map. They find an extra kill of a lacking Shirazi. And then Camille with the spray of a lifetime. Alexi gets the spike diffuser. And then as the smoke blooms, Camille finds the last timeout needed because that was a backbreaker. That have destroyed any sort of momentum that Invincible had. That was the best round they found themselves in a 2 versus 4. The smoke's in their faces. Nobody was marking the tree position, and Camille just destroys them with the spray transfer.
My goodness, that spray transfer is really going to break you from the inside. That is not how you want to lose. That is so disgusting. It's insane. And Camille is so underlooked. You know, you'd always expect it's always Alexi and Neri to step up. But Camille is also there. She's not just your typical support. Sure, she is the support that is always supporting with the flashes, but she can do things like this. She can do things that will mesmerize and just steal a round out of you. And this is what happens when you give Camille that extra inch. You give her an inch, she'll take a mile. And she gives XIPTO their 6th round with what was an insane clutch.
I mean, they have to just recollect themselves, right? You can't get your mental to get broken at this point in the map. But, I mean, XIPTO on the other side of things, they are feeling confident as ever. Nothing that they do is going wrong. I mean, everything they're doing is getting around on the board. Neri with the showstopper. Again, they're gonna push the issue. Deep smoke on both sides. Low buy on the side of Invincible. Another really tough round. They even gonna push the issue, force them even further back thanks to the paranoia.
Yeah,
on the flash paranoia
forces Neri back with the C's as well. Good control, but the minimum buy will be a problem for Invincible GC. How will they hold any further? Angela with the Sheriff, rocking heads and falling with bodies as well. The judge won't really get anything. Oh, stopper misses, but there goes Shirazi with the clutch. Again, so close. Invincible GC having to make it happen twice, but XIPTO just shatters the mirror. And this time they are walking on eggshells.
It was a 1v1 with Tara on that A side. It was a crazy 2v4 in the previous. And now down to a 2 versus 1. Shirazi plays up close and just destroys them. Oh my lord. I mean, Invincibles, they're so close, but yet they're so far. It's 7 rounds unanswered by XIPTO. And they've got an overflowing amount of ultimates that are just, you know, coming in one by one. Now they have the Empress and Lexi. You got the From the Shadows available. Camille's 2 of hers as well. They have a gun round this time, but yet again, XIPTO's reads have been perfect. It's an empty A site for the taking. They avoid the C push yet again. And it's Princess Alexi, make that Empress Alexi. And she's hunting for even more frags.
Yeah, the Princess this time playing aggressively, controlling heaven. And ascending up to heaven as well. Shirazi though catches Felsi with her guard down. KitKat will pull one back, but Henry having to deal the damage out to Icy and Kamiyu getting KitKat. The heads keep on cracking away. XIPTO so good with these trades and with the kills as well. They get their 8th round. Invincible GC. This time they won't be fighting back. This time they are run to the ground by XIPTO, only having that 2 rounds in their hands.
You always see XIPTO push in the post plan, right? You always see Aneri together with Alexi, especially in 5v5 post plans. Both of them, they will team up and they will push. That round right there, we didn't really see it from that perspective, but they pushed up towards the zip line. They wrapped around towards stairs and they cleared out any defender that was retaking for that position. So that allowed the entirety of XIPTO to focus on those flank players, and there was just no chance for them to win that. I mean, XIPTO right now looking like absolute stars, and that, you know, reputable first seed. Top team in Southeast Asia. Again, the C push comes in. This time, perhaps a chance. Ice with a nice frag there. They know that Alexi's going to be stuck here towards this B main position, towards mid. And yes, they find the kills, but it's still a post-plan situation. And I don't know how. They've planted on A. And Neri's in B heaven. She's going to cut off the entire rotate. First one found. Catches a second as well, but it puts her team in a much more doable 2v2 situation. Kamiyu's going to hear all the rotate coming in and the smoke. Oh, it's not great for them. Paranoia comes through. They're not going to expect Kamiyu's position. Beautifully timed out of the smoke. Tara with the first. Oh, sorry, Rosie with the first, but Tara's there for the trade as well. So team play upon heroics on XIPTO. Get them 9 in a row. They're looking for double digits at the first half.
You can take a look at how close the gap is between XIPTO, but how did Henry make her way up there? Look at this. Kamiyu gets the kill, and then it's not on the replay, but she was instantly traded by Tara.
Yeah.
It was so fast. Their body system is so good. The gaps that they have between them is near close to none. They're so close to each other, gluing each other together, and this time XIPTO again reading it perfectly, reading Invincible's GC like a book, because A side is completely empty. It feels like they are stream sniping, having wall hacks on. And A side this time will be for the taking, but they're a bit concerned about this as well.
Invincible has got to be questioning himself. Surely they come see this time. Surely they don't just send A yet again. Oh, but the Nightfall comes through. Alexi caught out in the open. Great frag coming in from Ice. The last remaining players are all stuck towards the side. Nobody towards this A rubble position. The smoke just to give them a little bit of cover, but they're all anchored in this spot. One good smoke and that will cut them off. The trip will reveal their positions, and the great wall right there. They take down Kamiyu and the rest. All 3 players stuck here. Viper Spit available, but they just take up the hits up 5. Angela with a tap of a century. Now Shirazi in a 1v3 clutch yet again. The neural theft just to find out that diffuser gets the first, but it's been body blocked. And oh, thank God for that, because that is a 3rd round on the board. Invincible. The first 2 of the half and the final one as well. That was a barn burner of a half, and I have to catch my breath. So panel, take it away.
I'm still
Thank you
catching my breath.
guys. 9-3 for XIPTO. They won 9 in a round and gave away the last one to Invincible, but I think we got to see why XIPTO played this 5 times and won it 5 times.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, there's so much going on. XIPTO, yes, still ridiculously strong. However, they did lose that pistol round, so that's something to think about, because they haven't been quite as clean, kind of like what Colden mentioned throughout the cast. They haven't been quite as clean throughout a lot of these rounds. One thing to note, though, is the fact that Aneri and Alexi actually swapped their Asian picks. The last time that they played this, Aneri was on the Reyna, and then Alexi was on the Raze. This time, it's flipped over. Aneri is the Raze this time. And you can see how it happens, because after those first 3 rounds, you know, even though they lost a pistol, Aneri already has to showstopper, right? She's that activated in this matchup, and she really, really wants to make it through to qualify for Game Changers Pacific. However, we cannot not talk about Angelofe, Jen. She's just really, really strong. You watch how she takes a lot of these fights, making a lot of these individual plays happen. Yeah, just thumbs up.
She's been the key factor for Invincible for sure. But let's talk about pistols because we have another one coming up. Who's winning it?
Oh, it's hard to say who's winning it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly kind of feel like it might be Invincible just because it's 3 out of 4 today.
Difference once we switch halves, you know, winning pistols and Invincible maybe pick up Lotus. I don't know, we'll have to see. So over to you, casters.
Okay,
very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Gently and Quack, for letting us take a breather. Because, Koldan, this has been one hell of a match, or a game rather, because if we take a look at the scoreboard, it feels like a one-sided domination, but in truth, it's not. This is still kind of your ping pong games where it's always a retaliation. And I do agree, Angela is such an insane player. This player is just out of this world, but now here she goes, looking to crack open the base, or rather the site, but Ice gets the tap. Terra looking for the third one, doesn't really get it. And Invincibles, they have control of site. It's just Camille looking to dig up some information.
And the fast flank coming in, the deadly duo of the XIPTO squad. They have no idea whatsoever. Ice gets absolutely slammed back of the site. And Neri catches on to Rosie as well. And that is the pincer coming in from XIPTO. That flank came in extremely fast. As soon as the spike got planted, they were all ready towards that mount position. And that delay, the little bit of delay was all that XIPTO needed to formulate that pistol round. And speaking of pistol round, this is actually the first pistol XIPTO has won in this series.
Indeed.
Think about that. Invincible won the first 2 pistols on the first map. They won the first one on this map, and they so desperately needed this one as well, because now that you've given XIPTO the pistols, they've got them up to 10. It's going to be really rough from now on. And as you can see, they're going to force buy into the second round. They got the spike down. They desperately need those rounds. They desperately need this map. And they're going to give it all they've got in this round.
Yeah, and you could take a look at the stingers, which can deal damage, but Shirazi, when you have an outlaw, a mini operator in that anti-eco round, of course, you will get shot to death, a bullet in the heart. And for Invincibles, GC, Falsey, will walk past close this smoke with the stinger as well in hand, looking to just clear the mount, because this part, or this choke point, is very tricky to play with. But XIPTO already conceiving that push up with the deadly duo of Enery and Alexi. But they are still not poised, still holding their ground. Look at this. The firing squad is here. What will happen, Colden?
They're completely boxed in, right? XIPTO know exactly where every single one of their players are. And it's just a matter of time. It's who do you want to die to instead of what do you want to do. 3 players on C, or the top 2 on your flank. And here they go, they choose the C site. Barna comes through. No commitment just yet. And the longer they delay, the longer that they wait and buy time. Well, they don't even need the flank. They just get absolutely steamrolled as they execute onto the site. They lose that entry pair of Angela early on the half, or early on the round, and they just don't have that entry power. They just trickle in. They find themselves in awkward angles, staring up at the ceiling. 3 players of XIPTO shooting bullets, raining straight down onto them.
And you could take a look at how you described it perfectly, Colden. They are boxed in, they are caged. Left to right and center, they couldn't really go anywhere, traversing any place, because so far, for Invincible GC, they have to eco now, and this is going to be very hard for them. They have to swallow this pill, a bitter one at that, but then can conjure something out of nothing. Alexi, though, thus gets the trade, and still a 1v1 trade. I think it's still even for both teams.
If it's not the duelist pushing out on A, it's the Omen and Cypher pushing out on C. XIPTO are more than comfortable taking away map control. They're more than confident in taking these duels. So again, they've got a double flank, but it's coming from the C side this time. Invincible, though, they have access towards the B side. So they find themselves a post-plant situation, but Ice might have, not aware whatsoever. Tara finds that frag. And now they have an option to flank as well. Where do you want to come from? Broken door, the option. Rosie drops the paranoia. They have only a sheriff in hand. It's not easy.
Oh, look at the player storming in, and Felsi having to reposition because of that flash on the back of it. Meanwhile, she's still dancing around with the Sheriff, gets the kill. Alexi! 4 kills to close out the round and clear the side of Invincible GC players. And match point, well, Golden, it's been an honor, but I don't think Invincible GC will be invincible enough to stop XIPTO Esports.
Yeah, now they've come in the gun round, but again, you can see how persistent XIPTO are towards this, on this defensive side. Despite them being on defense, they're still super aggressive. This time around, they find out that flank, or at least the player playing back, which is Ice, and then they converge into the side. One player from B main, the rest coming through that broken door. And yeah, 3 rounds in a row now. This is do it or bust for Invincible. It's this A main fight coming through. Nice utility to push them back a little bit, but Neri's the one, of course it's her, to open up the round. Alexi in tow, showstopper there, but Alexi picks up the kills, and Neri with the last, a flawless round to close out this map. And that is the series 2-0 in the favor of XIPTO, like everyone predicted, albeit a little bit more close, but it's still XIPTO on top. The Queens, well, their reign will continue.
Yeah, I think it's going to be such a long journey to take down these queens, this little kingdom of XIPTO Esports. But Invincible GC, they push them the extra mile at Bind, but in Lotus, their own map pick, I feel like they still have to fix a lot of things, and XIPTO was just way more comfortable in playing that composition. They were taking space every now and then and just boxing in the players of XIPTO. But I think, we still have other teams that are yet to face XIPTO, and who knows, maybe the next one might be able to take them down. With Boba as well, still up in the fray, Boba will still be playing as well. So yeah, still a lot of possibilities to take down XIPTO. But this does mean, correct me if I'm wrong, XIPTO will be heading into Bangkok for the Game Changers, APAC, and Elite. And of course, they will be experiencing their LAN, an offline event, a tournament, which is something that they're not strange to, because they are familiar. They're familiar with this. They are acquainted with that LAN experience. They have been there in this world stage, in the international stage, facing teams like EG and Liquid. So I think they'll make an easy work out of this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, amazing job coming from XIPTO. That you put it succinctly. They are that experienced team. They've got themselves a ticket to Bangkok already, so I'm so excited for them. So excited to see them play on a LAN stage for the entirety of Pacific. But it's still not the end for Invincible, right? They still have a chance to work themselves into that 3rd place in that lower bracket. So not the end of the road for them. Still a lot of chances available, but it's got to be down the lower brackets, which can be a little bit scary. One loss and you're out, and there's a couple of really insane teams on there as well. But I think we can throw it back to our panel. So So guys, take it away.
Thank you, Colton and Realize, and that is right. Congratulations, XIPTO, with this win. They are in the Pacific contention now. The scoreline looks more like XIPTO, we know, right?
Yeah, it looks more familiar to every other XIPTO match that we've seen. But they were challenged today, though. That much is true.
Now, Lotus, what do you think about Lotus? I mean, the first half, the rounds were really close. XIPTO won it, but it was by a small margin. Second half, very dominant. Yeah,
I mean, once you start things out, 10-2, XIPTO's really just starting to feel themselves. So you can really see, especially down to the second half, kind of like what Colden mentioned again. They were just that confident that they wanted to wrangle map control away from Invincible GC, which their whole composition is based on controlling the map, right? That's why you have the Viper, that's why you have the Killjoy to watch your backs, to watch your flank. But if XIPTO is pushing out on almost every single part of the map, then you don't have that much control to work with in the first place. Shirazi and Taro are just that confident in working together as a duo and blocking off all of Invincible's exits. There was just so much that Invincible had to work against, and what it really came down to was, once more, Angelofe trying her best to find some of these duels, but some of the other players, I guess, due to like lack of inexperience or lack of experience or lack of awareness and some things like that. They don't really anticipate that XIPTO might be pushing out against them. They aren't really looking at their backs. They aren't watching over their shoulders. I suspect that after this match they might, but for now, it really just is so much to learn from this one map alone.
There was a little bit of difference from both teams when it comes to the fundamentals and the experience. But Invincible, getting the first kills, 10 first kills, but it just shows that XIPTO are a force to be reckoned with.
So much. I mean, the first kills, if anything, it just tells you that Invincible are a team that you really want to keep your eyes on because they are gonna keep growing. Angelofe, alongside some of her teammates like Rosie as well, are just that capable, and they can only go upwards from here. Meanwhile, for XIPTO Esports, they're already at the top, Jen. I don't know.
I know.
9 out of 12 post plants. They might have lost 3 out of 4 pistols, but once they got going, they really got going. 3 rounds in a row right off the bat of the second half, and they just, took everything home. And now they're in the Game Changer
right?
Pacific. Yeah.
Well, definitely a great day for XIPTO, and as you mentioned, you can see, XIPTO loved to pushing out, holding their angles. It was just fundamentals that actually got them this map.
A lot of it. You can definitely see in some of these, I guess these little points where you can tell that there are these moments when XIPTO is pushing out of C Mound. There are also these moments where some of these players got shot in the back when they were thinking about executing into the A site. However, looking at everything else, especially the fights around the sites, more in particular, I can feel the one around A site closer towards tree. That's where there's the most red. It's the spike being planted, retakes happening, but it's also where Angelofe was trying to fight back against XIPTO so darn much, but then Camus just gets like a 3k spray down and things like that. So, I mean, XIPTO are that good.
Alexi or Empress. She went from the princess to Empress Alexi. Now, I don't know, it looks like everyone knows how to frag, and Alexi stood out on Lotus.
Yeah, on Lotus
3.3 KDA.
Especially in that first half, right? She just kept on like pushing out, hunting for kills. She used her Leer at the right times in the right spots to really check for corners, check for if there's anyone lurking around the corners, and then she's able to take certain positions where she's able to flick back against her opponent. To slow down when she needs to, picking up that much more space for her team.
So basically, textbook Reyna, the type of Reyna you want on your team when you're playing Valorant, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, this first half, it was really, really close.
It felt close. That's the thing. Although it's like 2 and 10, right, Jen?
Oh, this clutch from Tara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like an even moment of highlight clips. It's not just purely XIPTO Esports. You have to look at Angelofe and how she gets some of these moments. But then apart from that, you also have like Shirazi, Alexi playing around this corner of like seaside stairs, and Invincible might not really anticipate it. That's the one only thing where they have to kind of anticipate that Alexi and Eri might just be right around the corner, able to, take you down and really pound you to the ground, and they're just that good.
It was just XIPTO doing XIPTO, but Invincible definitely, they are in the lower bracket, but I'm pretty sure they have the strength and the experience as well from today, facing XIPTO. Moving forward, they can definitely make that miracle run in that lower bracket, and I think they have enough to make it to top 3 as well. So definitely a great match for Invincible to play. They learned a lot, and XIPTO, it's a win-win because they qualified for Pacific.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, I think we kind of anticipated that. So congratulations to XIPTO Esports for sure.
Woohoo!
I wish we had like poppers or something.
Boom. Okay. Well, we do have an interview ready. It will be ready pretty soon, I think, with Alexi. Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Congratulations, guys. You guys are going to Bangkok.
Thank you. Say thank you.
lots of people kind of knew you guys would make it, but now that you guys have officially done it, how excited are you guys?
I think 10 out of 10 because we like to meet other regions as well. Yeah.
10 out of 10. Also facing other teams, you know, playing different styles as well. Now, I just want to ask you about today and how Invincible, you know, fared up with you guys. Were you guys surprised at how much they pushed you today? It's like, you know, the scoreline looks a lot one-sided, you know, just like Lotus, but I feel like Invincible kind of challenged you a little bit more.
At first map, we were surprised that they can take angles so aggressively, not unlike before. But we just adapted to their game style, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
And like,
pretty
let's talk about Bind, right? Quack, you have a lot of questions.
Yes, for sure. I mean, speaking of Vine, that's where you guys felt a little bit, I guess, challenged. But you also ran like a different composition, you know, as compared to your previous times that you played on Vine. You ran the deadlock. Like, what was the idea behind that? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Just my coach just said, "Oh, just play deadlock." Then just okay.
What?
Kolvat just said that, and then you guys are like,
Yeah.
okay, that's it. Come on.
He's blaming me.
Congrats!
Okay.
But yeah, definitely. What do you think this agent offers, especially for you? You know, the
Sorry,
team.
what?
What do you think Deadlock and Cypher offers specifically for XIPTO?
For us, I think it's more better because we can just stay at the side. No need to rotate fast and just do our thing, holding an angle. So it's more easier for us to like aim.
Also,
Yeah.
activating a Neri, getting that 35 kills.
Yeah.
That was
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Oh, 35 kills.
Congrats, whoop! But yeah, is there anything you guys are looking forward to for Pacific? I know you still have more matches coming up, but yeah.
I think it's just Boba, I think. Yeah. We're looking forward to be against Boba.
Oh, okay. But congratulations today on the win and also making it to Pacific, and good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Hey. Damn.
That was
Oh my
Alexi
god.
with the interview, and she's just fixated on, you know, winning this whole thing. I feel like we asked her about Pacific.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I just want to face Boba.
I got a bit of chills. Yeah.
Yeah.
They really want to
Boba.
play against
We
Boba.
have to be Boba first.
Even in like at Pacific, and then they have to play against Boba. That's also that's a little bit spicy.
Yeah. That rivalry going on. But we did have Sisu facing Boba coming up next, but we do have a little announcement, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yes. Unfortunately, we will be postponing the second match of today. There will be additional series on Sunday at 12 p.m. before the grand finals at 3:30 p.m. And it's due to the climate issues over in Philippines. You know, 4 players are affected by the floods. So with no electricity and, you know, it's fine. I hope everyone's safe, you know, safety first. And I hope that everyone can be back sound and safe and all motivated to play, right, Quack?
For sure. I mean, I hope everyone stays safe, and that's the biggest, most important thing. But also, apart from that, just in case you didn't, you know, listen to what Jen said, you can follow the FSL socials on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, just so that you stay up to date with the current scheduling for the future matches, whether or not it's going to be, you know, it's not going to be tomorrow. There's going to be an extra match on Friday, and then in for Sunday as well.
But yeah, XIPTO definitely won today. They made it to Pacific, securing their spot in top 3. We have Elimination Day coming up tomorrow, I believe, right?
That's right. It's gonna be. Actually, I'm a little bit confused now with how the schedule might be. But yes, there's definitely gonna be some elimination matches coming up next, and that's gonna be between like Lilacs and CBD or Cardboard Dinosaur. But also For Fun and Avernus Esports. So we'll see how that goes. But it's always a little bit bittersweet to say goodbye to some of these teams.
But we were able to see, witness strong key moments from all 4 teams. So it's gonna be a banger tomorrow, especially with Lilacs, Cardboard Dinosaurs, for fun and Everness. So make sure you guys catch us tomorrow as well. And
yeah.
Do we say goodbye here, Quack? Like
soon.
No?
And now
no, you
can
gotta
say
see our
goodbye.
faces. But yeah, it was definitely a fun day. XIPTO making it to Pacific, but we got banger matchups coming up tomorrow. 2 teams would have to go home, and 2 teams get to move on, making their lower bracket run. So don't miss it. We'll be back same time tomorrow, so we'll see you soon.
Bye.
One enemy remaining. Spike planted. Last player standing.
Hide.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Delete.
One enemy remaining. Down B. One enemy remaining.
Good, Guardian. Ready.
One enemy remaining. One enemy. Spike down. C. Last player. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
We're done here.
Charges left.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Spike down A. Flawless. Defenders.